Good afternoon, guys. Hi. So I'd like to show you today how the fair market valuation equation works. And basically, you will see that I have here in the direct trades area, starting on this box, I have all the trades that are in that example that I have in the business proposal. And if you see here that it ends on 13, just like before, how it goes, how there's a steady incline. And basically, I have over here the mean, and I'm using formulas to determine these values. So I have the mean here on the right. I have the standard deviation, and then everything else here, this is part of the formula. Now the marker is really important. This tells me at what point the trade history is relevant versus what part of the trade history isn't. And then obviously n is the number of trades, and then we have the top sum for the equation, the bottom sum of the equation, and then your fair market value that's derived out of that. Okay, so let's go over this. So the marker says 9.425. So that means that we need to round up so anything at past 10 trades is irrelevant. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So right here, this is irrelevant data. So what we can do is we can put this as a 0, and then we'll assign everything else a 0 above. Now you notice that the mean right here has dramatically declined. It's now at 3.95, right? But the fair market value remains the same. Hasn't changed at all. Okay? Now, another thing about this equation is the relevancy in the trade transactions. The more relevant it is to the present, the more value that trade is in the equation system. So I'll give you another example. Let's look at the 10th trade here. We're going to make the 10th trade 500. Now the 10th trade is now 500. Now look at the fair market value. The fair market value has jumped to 14.71, right? But let's now reverse this. Okay? Now let's take this and let's make the last trade 500. Now if you think about it, in a mean term, you're taking an 8 to 500 versus a 13 to 500. The 8 to 500 should have a higher result overall because you're gaining an extra 5 points, right? In a number, right? But look what happens. Since this is the last trade, this is the most recent trade to the present, look at the fair market value. The fair market value is now 103. So this equation system, the point that I'm trying to get at is this equation system, it tells you specifically a more detailed understanding of what something is worth based on a time reference. So now, based on the relevant trade transactions and so forth. So this equation is far more complex than the mean. The mean is actually like a kid's equation if you want to compare it to the fair market evaluation. So now let's invert these numbers. So let's go 7. Let's make this 6. 5. So now we're just steadily declining instead of increasing, right? 4 and 3. And if you'll notice, the mean, right, it has declined, but it's still around 7. It's saying that this trade is still worth 7 overall. But the fair market value is saying the trade is worth around 5.5, which is obviously looks a lot more closer to what a current trade should be. So I'm not saying the fair market evaluation is accurate, but it is a heck of a lot more accurate. A lot more accurate than the mean, okay? A lot. by far. And the fair market value is just one equation that is used as a variable, okay? And there are many other equations that are variables within this formulaic system to derive an absolute value as to what it absolutely should be traded for, what the correct trade-in value is. So I just want you to understand that the equations that are giving out provide you a better overall value, but it's still not the absolute value. That I'm not giving out. I'm not sharing with anybody. I'm not putting in the. I haven't even put that in the patent. Okay, so does this make sense to you? I hope you can see the advantage in the mathematical system that I have here, and that I've already proven without a doubt that my system is much better than the mean. But this is just a piece of that. Wait until you see the absolute value. The absolute value takes in a heck of a lot more data.